Have you ever thought that maybe it's time for a reboot for your brain? Well, today is Sunday, and God designed Sundays for this very reason. Perhaps you know, or perhaps you've forgotten, because everybody knows that God rested on the seventh day. Now, God can do anything He wants, and He certainly doesn't need to rest, or I don't know, maybe He does. I'm not God, I don't know. But He modeled what He wanted us to do, and He commanded us to keep the Sabbath day holy. And most of the things that God tells us, He tells us not because He wants us to to suffer or to be oppressed. That's the thing, is that Satan, the enemy, as manifested in what I call the Principality of Media, meaning, and that's kind of a loaded phrase, and I use it for the benefit of the Bible scholars out there who are familiar with the biblical concept of a principality. Just to sum up for the rest of you, it's basically a shorthand, my shorthand in this video, for saying that our primary struggle is not against people. It's really against ourselves, and both the enemy within and without, which if you focus on people that you perceive to be your enemies, you're going to lose sight of the real enemy, and that is perhaps a life not well lived, a life that isn't as full as it possibly could be. Of course, the very worst is the very worst, but we Christians and America's man's men don't tend to dwell on that sort of thing, because it's not really relevant to us. But the thing is that sometimes your mind just needs a reboot, and this is why God designed the Sabbath, because, well, He knew that if man didn't take care of himself, if we didn't adopt that ruggedly individual American kind of Christian faith, which we are blessed beyond blessed, more so than any other nation that has ever had its purpose and destiny to come into existence, like America, God's exceptional nation. Not to put too fine a point on it, He knew that if we didn't rest, we couldn't keep on making America great. The Rascal Flatts talk about this song. It's one of their kind of B-side songs today, but is called Mayberry, and talks about they have some really great songs. Country music tends to veer toward the churchy and the traditional more than there's some really awful, disgusting country music, of course, but it comes with the territory of being human, I guess. Can't trust those Nashville rock stars. Anyway, the Rascal Flatts talk about how in the song Mayberry, seems like this world's spinning faster than it did in the old days. So naturally, we have more natural disasters from the strain of the fast pace. Sunday was a day of rest, but now it's just one more day for progress. And if we can't slow down because more is best, it's all an endless process. If you ever saw that Google interview with the Disney Imagineer Bob Gurr, there's some schmucky mucky mook guy who's doing the interview, and Bob Gurr is trying to tell him, look, you got to kind of free your mind from the process, or you can't be creative. The process being a kind of rigid way of thinking that kind of like a I suppose in the very worst case it's like autism. It's like when people try to function like computer programs, and worse, when they try to function like computer programs and you never restart the computer. So at the very least, this Sunday, get out of your process. Stop running the routine. Just put an axe to the computer. Maybe even this device. And rest. This is America's Man's Man. AmericasMansman.com.